The human body operates like a musical instrument, with every organ, tissue, and bone in a constant state of vibration. This knowledge was mostly lost to antiquity, until recently.
When I was in school, I was taught to think in terms of cells as little bags of salt water and fragile neurons in tissue. But the new science is telling us that the average human has about 50 trillion cells in the body, and every one of those cells has an electrical potential of about 0.07 volts. It is about 3.5 trillion volts of electrical potential that we have access to in our bodies for healing.
Each part of your body has a certain vibration that it needs to have in order to be in a harmonious state, a coherent state, a healthy state. When it gets into a disharmonious state, that's when it gets into a diseased state where illness starts to set in.
When healthy, all parts of the body resonate in coherence with harmonic vibrations, which we could call sound health.
Frequency plus intent equals healing, which means the sound we make, coupled with the intention or the consciousness we put on the sound, creates the outcome of the sound. And this includes our voice.
So we want to use sound in a very coherent, very intentional way to help us heal.
Various brain states can be achieved by stimulating the entire brain using a technique called brain entrainment.
I can expose you to a sound that's pulsing at a brainwave speed, and your brainwaves will try to time themselves to this drum beat because it's the most dominant one in my environment, and that's called brainwave entrainment.
Ancient spiritual leaders likely used brain entrainment to guide individuals into expanded states of consciousness.
In ancient shamanic cultures, they used to have the drumming or the didgeridoo. The shaman would create a certain rhythm with the drum, like a heartbeat rhythm, for example.
You'll see that the speed of that drum beat is about 5 hertz. It's sort of like, hey, 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 hey. That is about 5 hertz right there. And that means that I'm tapping the drum at a brainwave speed called theta. Theta is where your brainwaves go when you're dreaming in sleep. And that means that if I start pounding this drum, your brainwaves, which are awake in beta function, will slow down and cross over the borderline into alpha at about 13 hertz, 12, 11, 10, 9, and finally get down to this 5 hertz in theta and lock onto it.
And this would then take them into an altered state, and they would go on a shamanic journey, for example.
And if I speed the drum beat up, my brainwaves will follow. If I slow it down, my brainwaves will follow. And we can see all this on EEG.
When I was in school, I was taught that there were 4 brain states, but it was the meditators in the Tibetan monasteries that began to show Western scientists that we're only beginning to understand the brain, that there's much more than those 4 brain states. Now we know there's a brain state that is called gamma, between 30 and 100 cycles per second. When the Tibetan meditators showed the scientists that, they said, okay, we'll rewrite the textbooks. The Tibetans said, well, if we do a different kind of meditation, we can exceed this. And then they learned about a brain state called hypergamma. So what we're beginning to understand is that we are only beginning to understand our potential and our capacity.
I was involved in some testing of brainwave biofeedback equipment, which shows on a computer screen the various levels of the brainwaves in real time. This allows one to learn to modify the brainwaves in response to the feedback. I wasn't able to produce any of the gamma frequencies, which are above 40 hertz, except while I was playing the didgeridoo, where the gamma feedback went to the very top level. So perhaps playing this ancient instrument helps to entrain the brain waves to simulate expanded states of consciousness.
We know, for example, that strumming a guitar or stringed instruments can bring a peaceful and calming effect to our cardiovascular system. Wind instruments also bring a sense of peace and calm. Organs can actually organize the cerebrospinal fluid in our spinal column and awaken our consciousness. Violins tend to engender a feeling of compassion.
Listening to or playing music is one of the few things that can light up the whole brain, as seen on EEG scanners. Music connects the corpus callosum, which bridges the right and left hemispheres of the brain, and stimulates the use of the whole brain simultaneously. It can help the brain to go into coherence, which stimulates higher functioning.
Ancient techniques for healing are also available.
You can go to a sound healer and you have some that work with shamanic tools like the drums, the didgeridoo, where you have the crystal singing bowls, Tibetan bowls. There's all kinds of different sound instruments that can be used.
With the crystal bowls, it feels like it's opening up into this almost angelic-like realm of frequency that people feel very open to. They feel almost like there's this divine feminine or angelic energy that is singing to them, and there's something about that that really calms the nervous system.
Every person has a particular net, grid, matrix of energy in their subtle bodies that have particular energetic nodal points that we think of as chakras and acupuncture points, and then energetic connections between them. Probably best known today would be the acupuncture meridians, but there are many others as well known to ancient cultures. And so one of the great secrets of the ancient traditions is to know what types of vibrational qualities to apply to the energy field or to specific energy centers to be able to ripen them like a plant growing from a seed.
Your body is vibration. It's incredibly receptive to sound, and it's receiving sound and wants to come in resonance with it. Sound vibration is moving through your tissues, through the water of your body. And these frequencies have the ability to move in and act actually as a technology to bring you back into resonance, to bring your body back into harmony.
What inventions and discoveries might arise from this new era of sound science? To begin, we can reduce or even eradicate disease.
We know now that all matter resonates at a specific frequency. And if you look, for example, at a cancer tumor, obviously the atoms in that tumor are resonating at a frequency. If you can isolate the frequency of the atoms in the tumor, and you can use a sound device to create a resonant frequency that actually cancels it out, all of a sudden, you can destroy that tumor, leaving all the healthy tissue around it untouched.
We believe that now all the research that we're conducting is leading us ever closer to a future of sound healing rather than pharmacologic healing, and a new paradigm for medicine itself.